Okay, episode 5 of Mockpod.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. So, what's been happening this week for you?
What's been happening this week? Oh, not too much.
Well, I've just noticed you've got a massive gash over your right eyebrow.
Oh, I do.
Yeah,
It's through my right eyebrow.
Yeah, it's through your right eyebrow. In fact, you had to go...
I call it the Jon Snow.
Yeah, well, you had to... Like, it's not that cool, but you had to go to the doctor to check it out.
Well, yeah, anyway, so I had to go through the little grassed area of the backyard where there's this clothesline, but unfortunately this clothesline's at this horrendous angle and it's really low, so like basically it's the exact height of your eye.
And you ran right into it.
I ran right into it. I didn't see it. So
you gave your glasses off?
I had my glasses on, thankfully, but I was looking at my phone, and I guess that was the key error.
That was a fatal error.
Fatal error. Don't look at your phone and walk around clotheslines.
Yeah.
That's a good tip. But yeah, so anyway, I ended up walking straight into this thing, and it actually collided with like the top half of my glasses. So
the glasses saved you.
My glasses literally saved my eye. Like, I mean, I don't know if I would have lost the eye, but I would have done severe damage to it.
It's a deep enough gash that, I mean, I think we'll have to post a photograph. Is that good a gash?
Okay, we can do that. But anyway, like, it ended up putting this huge gash in my eyebrow, and I sort of looked at it, and I was like, well, I don't know. It looks pretty bad. Like, it looks fairly deep. So I went down to the doctor, checked it out. They actually ended up removing all of the scab.
If the wound is or the gash is open and it doesn't close together very well, then you do need stitches. However, if the edges meet and they do scab, then you can just leave it. I've seen some pretty deep gashes in my time.
I bet you have.
And I think you did the right thing leaving it. But
check it out now. What do you think?
Well, it's good now, but the whole thing...
Jon Snowish, I think.
Yeah, look, you got to drop that reference. I think it's definitely not Jon Snowish. But the thing is that it leads me on to this bigger idea. The whole reason I ask you about this gash is you have a tendency to engage with household disasters. I mean, not long ago, you literally blew up the microwave oven. I mean,
that was a quick lesson to be learned.
Well, the whole house stunk for 24 hours. In fact, all of us had to get out. Yeah, all of us had to get out of the house.
I think it stunk for about for 2 days. It was like, I'd describe it as toxic.
Yeah, and then it was radiation.
It was 5 days,
nuclear waste site.
Yeah, and then the next 5 days it was tolerable but pretty bad.
Yeah, because you didn't just explode this wheat bag.
Yeah, so what it was is it's obviously been a bit cold, so I've been experimenting with these wheat bags that my girlfriend had. And I still have one now.
It's chemically treated wheat.
Is that what it says?
Yeah, so do you know that you've probably poisoned everything that we put through there now? Because when it blew up, all the chemicals were released.
To investigate this.
Well, the chemicals were released into the microwave. So I actually think that
it's probably not the greatest thing to have.
But that's not the only tale of woe. I mean,
no. So the other one was. You probably remember this one, the scalping. Do you remember that?
Yeah, the scalping is an incident where you're coming through the rear door of the house.
And there's a few steps. There's like 2 or 3 steps.
And you tripped over the steps.
Yeah, because I was wearing my thongs.
And then right in front of you lay this sort of iron or metal trolley of food. It has all the condiments on it.
It's quite high. It's almost like a little bit below chest height.
Well, it looks like a trolley you'd see at a restaurant kind of thing. Anyway, but you managed to scrape the entirety of about
not only that,
5 centimeter diameter off top of your head.
I managed to contact the only part of it that was actually sharp.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that was bad about it is you could actually see the subcutaneous level of the skin. Yeah, because often obviously you talk about superficial grazes, but it wasn't a superficial graze because I could definitely see that.
I mean, I don't have much hair anyway, but it took away like any hair that I did have there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it affected any hair growth, but it definitely gave you a nice little patch there, a scab. So yeah, you've had a good run with.
What about you? Have you ever like sort of smashed yourself around the home?
Probably the only thing would be stubbing my toe continuously over time. And hitting that same exact toe. It's always a little toe, and usually on the left foot.
Isn't it funny that you always hit the same one?
Yeah, usually on the left foot. Yeah. And what happens... Well, it's because of the way you walk through doors, I guess. I mean, if a door opens a certain way...
So do you have an angled entry or something?
No, I don't think so, but... yeah, I used to have a bed. I've changed it now. But I used to have a bed with legs. And I used to knock that every time I'd walk past the bed. and it literally would bleed. So I couldn't get this blood scab out of my toenail for about 3 years.
That's pretty horrible.
Well, it kept rebuilding.
Because you just kept doing it.
Yeah, kept doing it.
Recurring incident.
It's really annoying.
Yeah.
Because you use your little...
And it's pretty painful. Like, that's, like... Did it hurt the same every time? Like, was it that excruciating kind of, like, almost... you know how when you hit your funny bone, for example?
Yeah. So we're just thinking about some friends of late that we know. One of them is a mutual friend. He's an Austrian guy. I met in America originally. You got to spend some time with him as well, because we've met him twice. Yeah, once in Austria,
once in Thailand,
and once in Thailand.
Yeah, I remember a sweaty balcony drinking beer from a massive siphon.
Yeah, and he's a great guy. His life is a great one. I mean, he trained in medicine, so it facilitated a bit of travel on his behalf. He's managed to live in different countries,
and his partner's a doctor too, or something, right?
Yeah, and he's living in Thailand now, and he's doing very well. And it just got me thinking about moving to a different country and what that's all about. And
well, I mean, you've got experience in that, right? Because, like, I mean, I've never done it, like living for extended period, but you've got a couple of times that you've done it.
Yeah, well, I've been lucky enough to do it in America and in Poland, and I guess the recent experience made me think about it a lot. Landed in Poland and started earning like social welfare payments, by Australian standards. So that was interesting, and it made me budget differently. And every time I went to the ATM, I'd count how much I was, spending, etc., which I'd never really thought about before. And
how did you go with that process? Like, did you find, for example, like when you first did it in America, it was quite difficult to do, and then it became much easier in Poland?
Yeah. Well, in Poland, it got easier over time because you start to manage it, and like everything, we're adaptable crews. I guess you just live within your means.
Well, they say within 32 days or something, right?
Basically, the rule. Yeah. Live within your means.
Yeah. And because it's quite interesting actually, because it kind of. I never thought of it that way, because I mean we've spoken about minimalism and stuff on the show a little bit, but in those periods, like, you're forced to be minimalist. So you know what I mean? Like,
forced minimalism can be a good thing, I think. Depending on how long
just live with what you have.
Yeah, how long you do it for. But I think over time, the idea of having personal connections or not makes a difference.
And you've got strong connections in Poland as well, right?
Yeah, a couple of friends there sort of allowed me to assimilate a bit more easily.
It's always good if you've got friends, and particularly if they're locals. I mean, like they're Polish, right? So yeah.
But one of the things I think about is, like, when people move overseas, we've had a few friends and people we've taught, international students who've ended up living here. And
many have taken that choice. And
how did they decide how long to stay for?
I think a lot of them just kind of flew by the seat of their pants, and if they were enjoying the experience, they just kept extending until they kind of reached
worked on
a
student
point.
visas most of the time.
Yeah, so the general path I think a lot of students took, I don't know if you can still do it exactly the same these days, but was to go to a course for like 6 months, and then
pay
go
for
work.
The course and
go pay for the course and then go
to work.
No, then they'd have to go out, like if they wanted to continue staying here, they'd have to go out to the farms and do roofing. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, so you had to reactivate your visa.
Yeah, it's like working on organic farms, and then you come back. And they did, and then I think they were eligible for more study or something.
Yeah.
And then, so I think what ends up happening for a lot of students is that they go through this period of like 12 months or 18 months, and they go through all those options, and then they're like, this is a pretty good place, I'd really like to live here. And then they go through the arduous process of trying to get sponsored or trying to work out, how they can actually end up living here.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we had some, especially, I guess, French students who ended up getting sponsored and whatnot. But
it's a golden ticket, right? Like, to get sponsored.
Yeah. But by the same token, you've got other students from countries where they... really rate them for this. They end up doing cleaning jobs and restaurant jobs, hospitality,
anything they can. Just
so in essence, I guess it's interesting because I wonder, do you leave things open ended or do you have a closed timeline? Which is a better approach? When you go overseas.
Well, I mean, I think, like, from everything I've seen, especially with students, and I've learned a lot.
What do
from
you
them,
think's better?
Well, I think the whole approach where you do it as you enjoy it, and as if you continue to enjoy it, you should.
So it's open ended.
Yeah, make it open ended, and then basically, like, I think life will end up throwing you a little, well, I guess you'll make choices, you know. And
Well, if you're out there engaging with work, with people.
yeah, that's right. You're
study.
essentially living anyway, and then everyone goes,
Stuff
well,
happens.
okay, cool, yeah. Like I've done this. This is part of my adventure. Hey, the next step of my adventure, I'm gonna live here for a few years and see what happens. You know, like I think it's amazing. Like it's a very brave choice from a lot of people.
It's super brave because Australia's so fast. Not like if you go from one European country to another, you can hop a train for 4 hours and go visit your folks. When you come to Australia, it's a
Yeah, I mean,
16 to 22 hour flight.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like we grew up with that sense of, well, not us personally, but like as a country, you know, there is a sense of isolation because we are an island, you know, there's close-ish countries, but we're definitely not really close to other big parts of the world like the US or Europe or whatever, you know. So I think it's one of those things where.
But can you end up being aimless wanderer though, like if you don't have a fixed goal?
Well, yeah, but like I mean, I guess like
because
is that a bad thing to be an aimless wanderer? I mean,
not necessarily, but there can be sacrifices you make.
Definitely,
people that you leave at home, the family that you leave.
Definitely, and I
so
think
things that you could cultivate. So that's why I just, like I said, put it forward, playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I mean, if you travel all the time as well, I guess you've always got that impermanence of connection. You know, like you meet a hell of a lot of people, and I'm sure you know make some really good connections, but
that can be really good based on experience.
Yeah, but as far as deep, long lasting connections, maybe it's a bit different. But in saying that, like I said, it's just a choice really. So like for those people that want to be the perennial, you know, traveler, yeah, and enjoying the whole experience, you know. But I guess when you travel, I mean, you do tend to cook less, whether that's because of lack of facility or just because you're in a different place or because meals are cheap. I don't know. I mean, yeah. Because I remember one of my mates actually, we went on this little camping trip, and I thought it was the most brilliant thing ever. I was pretty young at the time, I guess, but it was the most brilliant thing ever that he just brought along some bacon and eggs.
Yeah, bacon and eggs.
And so in the morning he'd cook up this, like on this little electric stove, all these amazing bacon and eggs for just a group of guys. And it was the best thing ever. Like it's just
on a little griddle,
just on a little griddle or something. Yeah, and it was so nice. You know,
you're a big fan of eggs.
I do love eggs. You know, I think they're very versatile. You know, little.
You often actually just talk about how much you love eggs. Like,
well, you know where it actually began is that when I was at uni, I had this friend from Norway. I still have him. He's an amazing guy. Yeah. But he said to me one day, "Hey, Adrian, have you tried over on over?"
Over on over. I've never heard that. I've heard eggs over easy and sunny side up.
No, over on over.
Is there such a thing as over and over?
Well,
if I Google this, is there such a thing?
I don't know, but it's like, you know, whether or not it's a popular thing, I don't know. But he said, okay, so I said, yeah, for
what
sure.
What country is this guy from?
Norway.
Okay.
Yeah, I said, yeah.
So in Norway, they have eggs over and on over.
Look, I think this could be his name for it. Like, I think there's probably some cool Norwegian name for it.
Define it.
Yeah. But over and over, basically, it came in actually two varieties. The first one I ended up trying was...
well, how do you differentiate it by name then, if there's two varieties? Well, over and over, one over and over, two?
It's like a genus or something, I don't know. But anyway. Yeah. So it's... All it is boiled eggs on some nice bread.
Yeah. You make me feel like that right now.
I know. I haven't eaten breakfast either. Yeah. But you slice up the boiled egg so it's just in nice little slices. Before you put it on the bread, you put down a layer of cod roe, Swedish cod roe.
Of course,
I think
famous fishiness of the...
I think it's called cod roe Scandinavian or something like that. Cod roe Tarama? I think that's what it's called. It's hard to actually find in the supermarkets nowadays.
Incredibly fishy.
It's beautiful, yeah. I used to find it in like ethnic kind of supermarkets, but
I think it's still out there, but like you said, it'd be hard
it's harder to find, yeah.
So it's like preserved cod.
Yeah.
Balls, eggs, sorry.
Balls, eggs, yeah, eggs.
Well, I was into the visual.
I don't think cods have balls, but
the visual.
Yeah. But yeah, basically all it is, you spread that on, you have the eggs on top, and it's just amazing, right? And I had that, and then I was just like, wow, that's amazing.
Wait. With the boiled egg, it was smashed on top?
No. Cut in slices. So
you slice
they're Norwegian, man. Like, they're like things orderly, you know?
So there's no other sauce. There's a cod spread, and then there's these sliced boiled egg bits.
Yeah. And hard-boiled, not soft-boiled, hard-boiled.
And it should be toasted or fresh bread?
I had it on toast, and I think that's a nicer way to have it.
I think you'd probably say they'd have it on rye. They typically...
Probably, yeah. So some nice heavy bread, yeah. But it was amazing, right? But then there was another variation of it, and it was very simple as well. Same thing, but then you'd have also cod roe eggs on top. So you'd have row on row on row.
All you're doing is you're just reversing the order of the
No,
spread.
you have all three.
That's like saying I'll put like
No, you don't understand. You're still putting on the tarama. So
peanut butter then jelly, or jelly then peanut butter in American
it's
terms.
both. It's all three though. So it's tarama with egg.
Okay.
And
And then you put another
eggs
layer
on top.
I got
with
you
fresh
now.
eggs. on
Okay,
top.
now that makes sense.
Yeah, the fresh eggs. Yeah. And then you've got that wonderful experience of those eggs bursting in your mouth like the ocean. You know. Do you like that sort of caviar, that egg roe stuff?
Look, I like fish, but I like fish done in certain ways, and I can't say I'm a massive fan of the roe. Depends how it's done. I mean, you make it sound enticing.
It's pretty good. If I can find the components, we'll try it.
Yeah.
But you've actually delved into some eggs yourself. I seem to remember an incident with you and, you experimenting with some eggs.
Scotch eggs. Well, I had to buy quail eggs because they're super small, peanut sort of size, or a little bit bigger than peanut.
They're very cute.
They're really cute.
Eggs,
and then the objective here is that with this egg, unshelled, you'd have a layer of mince around it, and then a layer of batter. You deep fry it, and then when you bite into this crispy little nugget of a Scotch egg, you have this wonderful layer of mince, a savoury mince, and a golden oozing of the quail egg yolk.
Yeah.
And luckily, I managed to achieve it that day.
It was amazing. I ate one or two.
Yeah,
they were amazing. Yeah.
And
you had that soft yolk, flowing out. It was very.
It was quite tricky because you had to pre-boil the egg to make sure that they were of a certain temperature, but then and then you had to peel it. All right, so you could have that in, and then
I remember you doing that, and
then you have to
peeling quail eggs is actually really difficult.
It took forever because you can't, obviously, if you crack it and it's uncooked, it's going to ooze everywhere. So you have to pre-cook that, and when you deep fry it, again, you had to make it the perfect temperature so that the yolk would stay runny, but the mince had to be cooked.
Yeah.
So it was quite an interesting experiment.
So what was the hardest part of it, do you think?
Oh, the shelling the eggs. As you recall, I was standing there for ages in the kitchen.
Yeah, it was one of those, like, sometimes I go on these, I like to call them cooking odysseys, where you just jump aboard and you just keep going. And
you just want to have fun experimenting.
You just have fun, and I think it's a good way to do it.
I was at the cinema this week, and I went to see a film I've been really dying to see. It's called Dunkirk.
Oh, have you seen it?
Yeah, I saw it this week.
Oh man, what did you think?
I hopped into the cinema, and the thing that
because it was Christopher Nolan's
war
masterpiece, right?
To directing, it's amazing in two ways. It's for a major director to make a film that's just 1 hour 45 minutes odd.
Oh,
that's brilliant, especially for an epic. I love that.
That fits your criteria very well, doesn't it? My
criteria. All films should be under 2 hours. And secondly, it's essentially an art film masquerading as a war film. So his own artistic sensibilities come through it. But even more fascinating than all that is the fact that, once again, you see Tom Hardy for 80% of the film.
Don't tell me he's got a mask on.
In a mask again.
Does he have a mask on again?
He has a mask again because he plays...
Is he a medic or something?
He plays a pilot in this film.
Oh!
So
that's hilarious.
So the run of hits is what, Bane in The Dark Knight.
Yeah, that's his claim. That's his claim to fame.
That's right. Then he managed to back that up with MayMac's Fury Road, where
it was amazing.
He spent the bulk of the film masked once again.
Bulk of the film, yeah.
And then now he's come up with this incredible heroic role, where you only see his eyes through the visor of the airplane mask.
So does that mean that basically Tom Hardy is just cast on his eyes alone?
Well, I don't know. I guess you have to ask the directors, but I was astounded I didn't know that going into the movie, and I was watching the movie, I was thinking, I think I know that actor, and then there's obviously the reveal at some point.
I think it's amazing. I think they need to do a reboot of Mortal Kombat or something like that and put in one of the characters.
I think it's an in-joke. I actually think that these directors are doing it. I don't know, they're mistreating Tom Hardy somehow.
No, I reckon they sit around the planning room and they go, look, we need someone who we know can act in a mask. Who can do that? Tom Hardy can do that. All right. Tom Hardy. Who else can do that? Yeah. Nobody. Oh, actually, I guess what's his name? Sir Anthony Hopkins. He could probably do that.
But Tom Hardy's really the master of the masquerade. I would say
you can't have Anthony Hopkins as a pilot, can you?
Let's call him the master of masquerade.
The master, yeah.
But what was interesting about the film, though, is the incredible use of sound. There was asynchronous scoring, so you'd see these soldiers run across a beach, and then you'd hear these sort of violin chords struck, so asynchronously, and if you imagine that. So the timing and rhythm of sound and the composition of the front, like it was so many.
Does it add to like the frenetic sort of nature
adds
of
to
it? Like
the
the confusion?
adds to the aspect of war in the sense that there's all these odd kind of feelings that you get, sensibilities, versus like, let's say, synchronized rhythmic score has a different tone again, and even things like group shots, like apparently I think I read somewhere that Christopher Nolan mostly used extras rather than CGI to get crowd shots, and the use of vanishing point perspective and
were there with the soundtrack were there parts in it with really stark sound as well, just of war, or was it just all scored?
No, it was well, there were different moments
because obviously a very famous scene that a lot of people like in cinema is the Saving Private Ryan initial scene, because which is very, very
it's more what they call diegetic sound, which is basically from the source
sound
of
the action.
Of the action. No, it was non-diegetic and diegetic. But what's interesting is that he used something called the Shepard tone. Have you ever heard of the Shepard tone?
No, what's that?
So Hans Zimmer, who is a big favourite of ours. Hans, who made the awesome score to Crimson Tide.
Yeah.
He scored this once again with Christopher Nolan after, that incredible Edith Piaf, rendition in Inception and the organ music in Interstellar. So he made this soundtrack with this Shepard tone, and apparently it's got to do with this continuing sort of a session of tone, but the thing is, it never goes outside its own range, if that makes sense. So,
so there's no crescendo or something. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but it feels like it's constantly ascending. But anyway, I don't know enough about music to go further than that, but it definitely was a interesting experience as a film. But
and so Dunkirk, that is circulating around what time? Is that World War One?
World War Two.
It's World War Two.
Yeah, because a lot of people think of Normandy, right? Normandy and the French landings. So the thing with Dunkirk is that occurred earlier in the piece, and it wasn't a victory like Normandy was. Normandy was really important because France was taken over by Germans at that point, and obviously the Allies got to retake that land via the beaches like Omaha and the Normandy beaches, which we've been to. But the difference with this Dunkirk is it's a time when the particularly mostly British, but there were other countries involved, they were caught in the top headland of France in the Dunkirk area, which is closer to Belgium.
Right, they were cut off from
they were essentially getting surrounded, and they were in danger, so they had to retreat. And the British Army managed to, the British naval forces and I guess air forces as well, managed to get, I think, 300,000 soldiers out.
So they've launched this rescue operation.
That's right. So it was a massive victory in that count.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But this whole thing about films, it's led me to think about maybe talking about films more, because we're both passionate about film.
We do love film.
But, the idea of underrated sequels, I can't remember how it came up, but we were definitely discussing it just recently about things that are underrated. My go-to is always Die Hard 2. When you think of underrated films, people go, it's just a mimic of the first one except in an airport. No, that's exactly the point.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
The fact that you can mimic a perfect formula.
It's very hard to after you've made something that's absolutely groundbreaking or just really memorable, to make a sequel that not only pays homage to that, but develops on that, or is at least as strong as it.
Yeah,
it's a really difficult task. I mean, not many films do it. I mean, you mentioned it's, if you look at there's so many sequels that fail to deliver, but more importantly, the ones that, as you said, are underrated. Because I mean, take for example like Aliens.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know.
Do you have an
underrated? But
do you consider Aliens underrated? I think it's highly rated.
Maybe it is highly rated. Maybe it's highly. So
maybe a shock of a sci-fi movie because I think because James Cameron directed it. Yeah.
How about this one? How about
Alien 3's underrated though?
Alien 3, yeah. I was actually going to say, do you remember the series with Harrison Ford in it? Started with Hunt for Red October, is that the one?
Oh yeah, the Jack Ryan series.
Jack Ryan series, that's right. Yeah. So the first one actually doesn't have Harrison Ford, does it? Hunt for Red October, does it?
The Hunt for Red October has Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin, I think. Yeah. And then the role changes.
Yeah, I think it was Alec Baldwin, Hunt for Red October, and then he graduated into Patriot Games with Harrison Ford.
Yeah, and then the third one, Clear and Present Danger, I thought that was a really underrated film. Now,
Really? On what count?
again,
I think they were all overrated.
Well, okay, I think the first two were very overrated, but I really enjoyed the third one. Owing in large part to Willem Dafoe's character. Do you remember Willem Dafoe?
He's great. Yeah.
He played like the leader of a sniper squad, and I remember there's this magical scene where Harrison's gone out to find out who can help, and he's looking for good snipers.
Yeah.
And this team's out in this field of grass, and they start about 2 kilometers away.
Yeah.
And their goal in 10 minutes or whatever is to get as close as they can.
Yeah.
And the whole time they're watching and they can't really see anything,
Yeah.
And then ends up. They all stand up at the end, and they're within like 50 meters of Harrison, and I love that scene so much. And so I think his role, Willem's role, was a very underrated role, but that gave a lot of strength to the film because it gave a lot of kind of just coolness to it,
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you're big on snipers. I mean,
I do like
and you do like that movie with Billy Zane named Sniper.
Oh, Sniper's a fantastic film.
We all know that, and we acknowledge it, and I love it too.
Yeah.
But can we talk about the sequel? What's the sequel called again?
Oh, there's a few sequels actually. There's like 4 different
Oh,
sequels.
really?
Yeah.
I didn't know
Most
that.
of them are terrible, to be honest.
I was going to say,
there's like Sniper 2, awful. I think it stars Billy Zane, maybe.
Yeah.
Sniper 3 is like an urban environment.
Yeah.
They put it in an urban environment. Again, it was better, but still pretty awful. But the latest Sniper, I don't know. I think it's called...
Underrated. Are you giving it the tag underrated?
It's underrated. The latest Sniper, I don't even know what it's called. You have to look it up. But
what was good about it?
Is amazing. Well, I think Berenger reprises his role in it as what's his name again? Thomas Beckett. As Gunnery Sergeant Thomas Beckett.
Yeah.
Yeah, he reprises his role, and Billy Zane's in it as well, but Billy's managed to graduate from being this really annoying dude to relatively cool in the last film, and it's this story basically about Beckett's son, and
so it's the son of the original Sniper.
Yeah, that's right.
Sniper Reloaded, is that what it's called? The son of
that's it.
The son of a renowned sniper decides to track down the sniper who ambushed his squad when they were sent to rescue a white planter in the Congo.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
So is Billy Zane in it at all?
Well, have a look at his...
not Billy Zane. Tom Berenger.
Yeah, he reprises his role.
Okay, so Berenger's the main guy in this, right?
Well, no, his son is the main guy.
But
it works out really well.
Okay, so Sniper Reloaded's the underrated sequel.
I'm pretty sure that's the one, yeah.
Well, you're going to make me want to watch this now.
I only give it like 5.4. They don't know what's going on, or the reviewers.
I'm definitely watching
it. It's at least a 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, watch that.
But, talking about, action films are the go-tos often. Like, I think of...
Lethal Weapon, that sort of series?
Oh, Lethal Weapon. Jeez, I tell you what. Lethal Weapon 2 is terrible, I believe, but Lethal Weapon 3 is amazing.
Lethal Weapon 2 got pretty good reviews, though, didn't it? Like, people liked it. But...
Look, I don't...
I always remember Lethal Weapon 1 where you get to see some Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, Lethal Weapon 1 is the greatest action film of all time, and I don't think it'll ever be surpassed because of the introduction of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, which basically, if it preceded the actual rise of the UFC, because the UFC came about, I think 1993, something like that, right? November 93. And... Lethal Weapon came out 1987. So, by about 6 years, it preceded all this worldwide momentum, with and fandom for MMA.
Yeah. I agree. Like, Lethal Weapon 3 was really good, though, too.
Lethal Weapons 3 was great because he had
was that the one with, and
introduction to
Rene
Russo?
Yeah, they were.
So he had these great character actors.
Yeah, they were amazing. Yeah.
And it built on the, the wonderful interplay between, Riggs and Murtaugh.
Yeah, that's right. Is it Murtaugh or Murtaugh?
Murtaugh.
Yeah.
Jeez. You need to rewatch it. But, so Danny Glover and, Mel Gibson. But, I think just having the buddy cop formula was a massive thing in its day.
Can you call movies like Creed? Can you call that a sequel?
Yeah, definitely.
Or is it a spin-off?
No, it's called... They're definitely... Oh, it could be a spin-off or sequel. It depends how tightly it holds to the original narrative.
Yeah.
But
because I think in the Rocky universe...
Yeah, I'd call it a spin-off.
Creed as well as Rocky Balboa are both amazing films. Would you agree?
Yeah, look, you're really pushing me here because, see, my problem with these boxing films...
Oh, they're terrible for boxing.
They look really fake.
Terrible for the actual action. They're terrible for that.
As sort of a fight fan, it's hard to watch those films in that sense.
Yeah.
But Creed is an amazing film. Creed was really good because it deals with the son of Apollo Creed.
Creed, yeah. That's
and I thought it was made really well with some pretty well-constructed fight scenes.
Yeah.
So I always base my judgment on that. But I was trying to get away from the action sequels because I think that, you know, a lot of underrated sequels are in different genres. For example, Godfather 3. Have you ever seen Godfather Part 3?
Yeah.
It's one of the most underrated sequels ever. People bag that out so much because of a pretty bad performance from Sofia Coppola as Mary Corleone.
Yeah.
It would have been an amazing masterpiece if you know, the original person cast, Winona Ryder, would have played it out. Yeah, she got injured, or I can't remember. There was some reason she couldn't follow through with the role.
Yeah.
So Sofia Coppola bravely stepped in at the last moment, but she's a great director, but probably not so much.
Is that her only acting role?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Yeah.
But the thing is that Godfather 3 really centered on Michael Corleone. Not that Godfather 2 didn't, because Godfather 2 is about the rise of Michael Corleone as the Don, but and Godfather 1 was about Marlon Brando. But the thing is, it deals with this melancholy tone that you don't get in these other mafia films, not the same way anyway. You know, someone reflecting on their life at the end of their life and, you know, what they've done right. And, you know, it's about Michael Corleone trying to become legit, you know. And yeah, it's such a fascinating character study. And, you know, dealing with his relationship with his daughter as well. It's the most underrated dramatic sequel, I think, in many ways. I remember seeing it and thinking, well, people need to look at it again.
Yeah.
Probably. What about other sequels that you think are underrated? Did you ever see Wes Craven's New Nightmare?
No. I know Wes Craven. But...
Yeah, well, you know, there was a plethora of Nightmare on Elm Street sequels.
Yeah, that's
terrible. Right. Dream Warriors and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And,
they made a lot, right?
Oh, they made a
13,
lot.
14.
They weren't made by Wes Craven. And then I think it's the seventh film in the franchise. It's Wes Craven returned to the director's chair. And he made New Nightmare. And it's a postmodern take. It's got lots of cheeky sort of self-referential things in it.
But like Freddy's not really in it, or he's...
No, well, he is, and he invades the life of Wes Craven, playing Wes Craven.
Oh, okay.
Heather Langenkamp, playing the Heather Langenkamp. So basically dealing with
who's
Heather
Langenkamp, sorry?
She's the main star of the original
Nightmare on Elm
Street.
Okay, cool.
So that's one of the most underrated sequels. It's absolute classic. Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Yeah, I can't say I delve into that much horror these days.
But and probably we should finish off with saying Under Siege 1 or Under Siege 2. How do you...
I think they're both like very, very good.
Masterpieces.
Yeah, both masterpieces, because again, like, a lot of people thought with Under Siege 1, I guess, that, you know, everyone's just like, oh, it's just Die Hard on a boat. Well, it is, but like, it also introduces Casey Ryback.
And the character of Casey Ryback and Aikido.
Yeah, to
so that's
the
a big
audiences.
difference.
Yeah,
John McClane didn't have a martial arts.
No, he was just a tough guy, right? So,
tough guy, which is great.
I mean, and look, you got to take it with grains of salt, of course. It's like watching, as you said, like Sylvester box or whatever. It's not going to be great, but you know, it's a movie, right? So,
yeah, and at that time, I mean, you know, for action cinema, it took it in a different direction.
Yeah, that's right. It was
a traditional martial art in a mainstream action vehicle.
And that's exactly the way to look at it. And I think that was really, really cool because it brought it to the masses more and, you know, just made people excited about it. But the fact that they could translate that to a train, I thought that was amazing. Like, everyone thought it was really, I guess, simple, but I was like, no, this is really cool because it has that same element of being in an enclosed space, like you're trapped. Right. But
Die Hard on a train.
Like, you know, but I think it's really cool. Like, and also introduced further grappling and some of its scenes as well. Remember some of that? Yeah,
there was like a side headlock that he did on the villain at the end, and also some counter grappling where he was kicking the kidneys from a guard position. That was you know, in the film, and also the introduction of the famous Segalian Shadow Hands. Now, in that final scene against a meat cleaver, he was unarmed against a meat cleaver.
That's right.
And he was throwing these incredible feints.
There was just a series of
patterns that bewildered the opponent. And I remember when we first saw it. Look, obviously, you know, this is stuff of film action, but the Seagal Shadow Hands, he'd never seen anything like it. Bruce Lee hadn't done anything like that.
No, he'd done things before.
He'd done fakes and he'd done like up and down vertical strokes.
That's right, to mesmerise the opponent. But this was live action.
This was hypnosis in action.
It was amazing. It was really cool to see.
Very different. So we always rate Die Hard. No, not Die Hard 2. Under Siege 2 because of. I tell you, one of the greatest is it a prequel? Yeah, it's a prequel. It's a prequel series, and it's the second of the prequel series.
Yeah, you're talking about the Alien
sequel
prequels
of the prequel. It's Alien Covenant.
It's the pre-sequel.
Yeah, okay. So it's Alien Covenant is such a good film.
It is amazing.
But it's much better than Prometheus.
Well,
Prometheus
is
a bit dull.
We both went into seeing it with a really negative frame of mind because Prometheus was boring. Pretty shit. Let's be honest. Like,
it's boring.
The first
there wasn't enough of the alien.
My distinct memory walking away from that film, Prometheus, was that I just spent about 2 hours watching nothing, 20 minutes of something, and then I went home disappointed.
It didn't seem to lead, it didn't lead you in a way you wanted to go.
No,
anyway.
But here's the funny thing.
Very slow paced,
When you stick Alien Covenant on, and you watch that, and then what it does though, it itself is incredible, but it also makes you respect the original, like Prometheus the original prequel. Yeah.
Did you go back and watch Prometheus?
I haven't done it yet, but I really
went back and saw that, and you saw
did
the
it change your experience?
Yes, because of the importance of the android character. Yeah. You got to see, I guess, where the origin of his actions in Covenant, where the origins were in Prometheus, and you got to see little things like the flute. There's the use of the flute to I guess activate the spaceship. That was seen in Prometheus, and then there's a key scene in Alien Covenant
also
where the two androids are talking to each other and they discuss.
Man, we really should put spoiler alerts on our movie talk because we've probably
we've
spoiled a few.
We've just okay, that's fair enough. But
we can cut something.
Yeah. But in any case, there's some magnificent stuff in it, and it's worth seeing.
But I do have one more thing to say about El Seagal. Have you seen a recent Seagal film?
I don't watch them anymore. No.
What? I don't either. I don't either.
There's such a thing as the halcyon days, and
this is far beyond the halcyon days. Well, see now, like he releases straight to DVD, I guess you'd call it, right? But this brings me on to the idea of like when to retire. Do you think Seagal should perhaps retire his film? Because it's hard to know when to retire sometimes, right? Like, I mean, we look at fighters. We talk about fighters every week. Do you have an answer? When should these amazing fighters retire? Like, when should Conor retire? When should John Jones retire? When should DC retire? Like,
I think there's two perspectives. So, like, as a fan, like when their athletic performance drops or when their legacy's been affected, like we feel really bad that Fedor's continuing to fight now and Anderson Silva, because we feel like it's affecting their legacy.
All it's doing is affecting their legacy.
And then when the athletic performance drops, in terms of like Rashad Evans is one of my all-time favourite fighters. He's a great fighter. But the last few performances, they haven't sort of been up to his own standards. And so I think from that perspective, it's perhaps something that, bears consideration.
But if you lose once, for example, right? Like, so I mean, Conor's a good example, right? He's not lossless, he lost in the UFC.
He's lost a couple of times. He's been submitted a few times,
Now, if he'd walked away at that point, is that a good idea?
No, definitely not, because one loss doesn't mean anything. I mean, essentially, if you're uninjured or you're not hindered by injuries, and you, you're not even thinking about retirement, and, then I think you should keep going, because there's an interesting study by a guy named David Williams. He looked, I think the title of the article is A Look at Career Length in MMA. Have you heard of this?
No.
He did a study of about 300 fighters, right? And he said that he found there was a drop-off against quality opponents after a certain period. Do you know how many years that was?
No, I'm guessing it's not that many, like maybe 4 or 5 years?
9 years. So you can stay up. And if you think about it, like Fedor was dominant for 10 years. Anderson Silva for a good, I think, 6.5 to 7 years. And he found that by the third year, you're entering your prime. And if you look at John Jones's career, that matches that. But 9 years is essentially the average.
That's very interesting. So that is to meet
just to be at the top, just to be at the top.
See,
of your game.
Because I've been thinking about this recently. If you beat everyone who's like essentially a contender in your division, I think it's a pretty good time to either retire, look for super fights or to retire, because there's nothing to be gained. Like when you look at like divisions like
you're talking
Mighty Mouse fighting like Ray Borg, right? Who the hell is Ray Borg?
I don't know.
Like nobody knows Ray Borg. So it's like, well, when you're starting to defend your belt against like top 15 competition, what's the go with that? Like, it doesn't add anything to your legacy. It's time to retire. Like, it's a good time to stop.
Yeah, but what you're talking about is a sort of an area, I guess you call the exit strategy. So like Brendan Schaub's a good example. Brendan Schaub, he left his career now as like stand-up comic, podcaster,
amazing
analyst,
podcaster.
MMA analyst.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
He's very
but he had an exit strategy. He had things to go to. So I think for a lot of fighters like Chuck Liddell, I mean, they had sort of cushy jobs set up, but basically, if you don't have an exit strategy where you have something really solid that's going to invigorate you, and keep you going, I think it can be hard to retire. So at the time of this recording, we're 1 week away, exactly 1 week away from MayMac.
Oh, it's electric.
Mayweather versus McGregor.
Yeah.
The hot tip.
Electric. Well, do you have a tip? I've spoken my mind, I think, several times, but I think you've always sat on the fence about this. Like, you know, you should just
There's no sitting on the fence. He will knock him out.
8-ounce gloves. It's signed, sealed, delivered.
McGregor will knock him out. Look, he's gonna the darting footwork. You know, he's gonna go in and out, karate style. He's gonna use unusual hand postures, like you know.
I think he's gonna have very wide stances.
Yeah, well, you look at how he spars with his partner Artem Lobov, and he uses these open hand postures where you essentially placing
like distancing,
a reaching gesture out, but in awkward positions, not right in front of you directly.
Well, I think
to create discordance. You know, he's gonna play with deep reaches as well. Like that left hand can bridge the gap incredibly well, like a kick. That I don't know what the tail of the tape says,
very
but
quick.
his reach is incredible.
Yeah.
So I think these aspects will give him the KO.
Well, it's very interesting. Like
as after sitting on the fence,
it's good. I think it's nice that you finally made a decision.
In saying that, let me say that Mayweather's highly underrated. Like
do
you know how many opponents he's finished? How many opponents has he finished?
Oh, I'd say out of 49, maybe you finished like 20?
26.
Yeah.
53% of his opponents.
Now, is that high?
Well, can I say this? This is his swan song. He's looking at it from this perspective. I'm going to bust my hands up knocking out McGregor. Because
that's his Rocky swan song, but I don't think he's like that as a person.
But the reason he stopped knocking out people is because, not that he was incapable, he didn't want to hurt his brutal hands.
I understand that, but I don't think he's going to want to
So he's going to go out there, all guns blazing. That's why he asked for 8-ounce gloves. And he's going to go for the knockout.
You think this was going to happen? Can you imagine that? So Conor takes this really wide stance, and he just puts his hand in Mayweather's face. Yeah, just, you know. And Mayweather's going to obviously try to get around that.
Mayweather will slip and hook him.
Probably. Yeah. But it'll be a different look. Something that he hasn't seen before. And I think that's the interesting part about it, obviously. The fact that it's, you know, he does present... It's, again, that idea, you mentioned it before, of traditional martial arts in a way. Now, it's not traditional because it's MMA now, but it's about mixed martial arts, obviously, versus, you know, a traditional style now in boxing. And I think that's the fascinating thing about it. And I think...
So again, if you had a $50 million fortune, how much would you bet on this result?
I don't think I'd bet any if I had $50 million. I wouldn't need to. But,
true.
I don't know. I'd put a good mill on.
Yeah. But you know what? Like, I'm starved right now because you've been talking about eggs all this time. So I'm going to go and make myself some eggs.
Nice. I'm having some eggs too.
All right. We'll talk later. Two brothers and a microphone.
Two brothers and a microphone.